What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, obviously, yesterday we heard the unfortunate news that undefeated unified WBC IBF welterweight world champion superstar boxer, who is widely considered by many to be top 3 best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, and Errol "The Truth" Spence Jr., has suffered a serious eye injury that's going to require surgery, which see him removed and return from the fight, the mega fight next Saturday with legendary 8-division world champion, iconic Filipino superstar boxer Manny Pacquiao. With that said, we're going to have Cuban star, WBA super champion, Yordenis Ugas replace Errol Spence. He was supposed to be the co-main event against Fabian Maidana, the younger brother of former world champion Marcos El Chino Maidana. Okay, so now Yordenis Ugas, he had replaced Manny Pacquiao as the WBA super champion due to Manny Pacquiao's inactivity and hadn't fought in 2 years. With that said, Yordenis Ugas, he was the regular champion. Manny Pacquiao, he beat former unified welterweight world champion superstar boxer Keith one-time Thurman July 2019, but Manny Pacquiao hasn't graced the squared circle since then. That was 2 years ago. And the WBA, they placed Manny Pacquiao as champion in recess. Now, we were going through a global pandemic. Manny Pacquiao has a lot going on in his country back in the Philippines. As he's the Senate there, he's eventually going to run for president. So Manny Pacquiao has a lot going on. With that said, we know the history. WBA placed Manny Pacquiao as champion in recess, elevated Yordenis Ugas to super champion. So Yordenis Ugas will replace Errol Spence. But Errol Spence says that he'll be back better than ever. Errol Spence, he responds to the situation, and he says, obviously, I've been through worse, and he put the wink in the eye emoji, right? Obviously, Errol Spence, just 10, 12 days after unifying the titles against two-time welterweight world champion superstar boxer Showtime Shawn Porter, Errol Spence suffered a horrific car accident October 10th. That fight with Shawn Porter was September 28th. October 10th, he suffered that horrific car accident, which we see his Ferrari tumbling down the street, white Ferrari tumbling down the street, flipping over. And it's a miracle that he even walked away from that, let alone be able to participate in the sport of boxing at a high level. Nonetheless, he was out the ring for 14 months, came back, fought 2-division world champion, former unified junior welterweight world champion, former WBC welterweight world champion, superstar boxer Danny Swift Garcia, against many people's advisory, right? Many people advise Errol Spence that he should take a tune-up fight, a light touch fight, just to assure himself that he'll be back better than ever. And nonetheless, Errol Spence, he chose to go in a different direction. He chose to fight Danny Garcia anyway, and he dominated Danny Garcia. Essentially won every single round outside of the rounds. He just chose to take off due to rust, fatigue. He was looking up at the clock. Obviously, they hadn't been in the ring in 14 months, had the car accident. So it's a lot of pressure, mental pressure, physical pressure. And he won the fight handily. Unanimous decision, okay? So with that said, Errol Spence, he says, I've been through worse, and I'll be back better and stronger than ever, okay? This is a situation where he has a tear on his retina, so he has to get surgery on his retina. That's a very serious surgery, because anything to do with the heart, the brain, the eyes is very serious, okay? You never ever know. We pray for the best, but you never ever know the outcome, okay? And we see guys have suffered this injury in the sport of boxing. Most recently, we saw Abner Mares when he was scheduled to fight undefeated 3-division world champion superstar boxer Gervonta Tank Davis. He had to be pulled. Abner Mares, a multi-division world champion. Abner Mares, a Mexican superstar in the sport of boxing, teetering on to being a Hall of Famer. He suffered the injury and never got back in the ring with Gervonta Tank Davis, let alone anybody, okay? He never stepped back inside the square circle. He is a commentator now on PBC Fox, and you can clearly see the lingering effects from it, okay? His eyes still looks like it's not 100%, and that was years ago. That was a few years ago, okay? And obviously, the big example we have is legendary, iconic Hall of Fame superstar boxer Sugar Ray Leonard. He suffered a similar injury when he fought against Tommy the Hitman Hearns. That was more serious because he had a detached retina, and he had to have surgery, and he was forced to have an early retirement. Now he ended up coming back. He ended up having that big fight with Marvelous Marvin Hagler, Hall of Fame, iconic superstar boxer, the late, great Marvelous Marvin Hagler. And he won the fight. You know, it was controversial victory. Some people thought Marvin Hagler should have got the nod. Some people thought Sugar Ray Leonard got the nod. Nonetheless, he came back, had a mega, massive, legendary, iconic fight, and he's known for that fight. That was one of many legendary fights from Sugar Ray Leonard. But nonetheless, he came back, and he had a legendary fight. And so, with that said, we don't know what the lingering effects are going to be from this. We don't know the outcome of this. We don't know how long Errol Spence is going to be out the ring. But Errol Spence, he says he wants to fight the winner of this fight, and he'll be back. Obviously, he stated he's been through worse, so he said, I'll be back. I want the winner of this fight. And Manny Pacquiao, he responds. He says, first and foremost, because Errol Spence is getting a lot of critique because of this, and a lot of people are saying that Errol Spence is avoiding Manny Pacquiao. Errol Spence was struggling in training camp. Errol Spence is looking for a way out. He's not sure, he could beat Manny Pacquiao. Errol Spence, 27 wins, no losses, no draws, 21 big wins by way of knockout. Errol Spence is 31 years of age, stands at 5'9.5" with a 72-inch arm reach. Last time we saw him in the ring was December of last year when he took on and beat Danny Garcia. Manny Pacquiao, 62 wins, 7 losses, 3 draws, 39 big wins by way of knockout. He himself was knocked out 3 times. He's 42 years of age, stands at 5'5" with a 67-inch arm reach. And again, last time we saw him in the ring was July of 2019. So with that said, we don't know, and a lot of people are speculating and saying that Errol Spence was struggling in training camp. Errol Spence, we saw a little sparring clip, a small sparring clip, Errol Spence, and from that sparring clip, everybody took and run and said, you see, that's Errol Spence was struggling in training camp. Errol Spence, it was a Manny Pacquiao, obviously, duplicated, right? He was there to mimic and give the movement and give the looks of Manny Pacquiao. And a lot of people took the few second clips. It was a Premier Boxing Champions. It was a, Fox clip, from their special All Access or whatever, road to, Errol Spence, Manny Pacquiao. And the little clip, the guy had a little bit of success, landing a few punches, and everybody speculated, took it and ran with it. Oh, you see, this guy's not even Manny Pacquiao, and look how much success he has, and so on and so forth. So they attest that to Errol Spence pulling out, saying he struggled in training camp. Oh, there was talks that Errol Spence was struggling in training camp before Danny Garcia fight, and how'd that play out? Okay, he didn't pull out the fight, and how'd that play out? And Errol Spence, he stated that he was only 80% of himself. He was nowhere near 100% of who he normally is. So Manny Pacquiao and his team, ironically enough, they believe that Errol Spence is no longer the same guy, and that he can't be that same guy. They feel like the car accident took a lot out of Errol Spence. So Manny Pacquiao, he responds. And Manny Pacquiao, he says, first and foremost, please stop all of the critique towards Errol Spence and pray for Errol Spence. Hopefully he gets well soon, and I should see you next year. So, indication that he's open to fighting Errol Spence. I highly favor Manny Pacquiao to beat Yordenis Ugas. Yordenis Ugas, in my opinion, stylistically wise, Yordenis Ugas' skill set, he's technically sound. Yordenis Ugas, he has pure boxing ability, but Yordenis Ugas just doesn't have power. He's not very quick, explosive, and so I just can't see him giving too much problems to Manny Pacquiao. I just don't see it. Okay, I don't think that Yordenis Ugas has power. He's showing that. We saw that against Omar Figueroa, a guy that he was hitting at will and very cleanly, but he couldn't get him out of there. He couldn't knock him out. Yordenis Ugas, 26 wins, 4 losses, no draws, only 12 wins by way of knockout. That's a clear indication he's not a big puncher. He is 35 years of age. He's 5'9" with a 69-inch arm reach. So he only has a 2-inch arm reach advantage over Manny Pacquiao. and he's 4 years older than Errol Spence, so he's not the youngest guy in the sport of boxing, and he doesn't have much power. So with that said, in his last fight, he struggled and was nearly knocked out in that last fight. So I expect Manny Pacquiao to knock out Yordenis Ugas, but that's for I'll break that down in depth later on. That's for another video. But nonetheless, Manny Pacquiao says, I'll be waiting for you, Errol Spence, in 2022. So get well soon, and let's make it happen. They're both southpaws, Errol Spence and Manny Pacquiao. You can't fake an eye injury like this because there's going to be receipts. He has to have surgery, okay? He said that he went to 3 different doctors to get 3 different opinions, and all of them said the same thing. He has to immediately have surgery. So there's going to be receipts. And Errol Spence, you saw the car accident. You saw the car tumbling down the street. You saw the effects from that. You saw him in the hospital. And he still came back and fought one of the best fighters in the world. Why wouldn't he not want to fight Manny Pacquiao after he called out Manny Pacquiao on 2 separate occasions in front of the world? He called Manny Pacquiao out in the ring after he beat Mikey Garcia, 4-division world champion, Mexican superstar boxer. And then before he fought Keith Thurman, he called Manny Pacquiao publicly then after he beat Adrian Broner. So we know that Errol Spence has wanted this fight. He just wasn't willing to publicly chase the fight like we know his rival, undefeated 3-division world champion, who's the former junior welterweight undisputed world champion, currently the WBO welterweight world champion, superstar boxer Terrence Bud Crawford. 37 wins, no losses, no draws, 27 big wins by way of knockout, 33 years of age, stands at 5'8" with a 74-inch arm reach. He stated that his #1 objective was to secure a fight with Manny Pacquiao. That's not the case with Errol Spence. He wanted the Manny Pacquiao fight if it presented itself, and if it didn't happen, he was cool with that as long as he got the other big fights. So Manny Pacquiao, he responds to this and he says, see you in 2022. That's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button, drop a comment in the comment section, let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Raw. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.
This is Amanda, the real Dio Serrano, and you're watching Blue Blood Sports TV.